Listen, I thought it was a brilliant game of football. First and foremost, I thought it was really entertaining. I would imagine from a neutral's perspective, quite end to end at times. Both teams having good chances, both goalkeepers making good saves. But yeah, I'm sitting here at the moment, and it certainly feels like we've dropped a couple of points this evening. Obviously we shot ourselves in the foot with the first goal that Hibs get. It's a mistake. At the end of the day, these things can happen. With the goalkeeper situation, we want him to be brave. We want him to come for crosses. He just hasn't got any purchase on the ball, trying to punch it. The second one again, it's a mistake. But I don't blame the goalkeeper for that one, to be honest. I've spoken to the midfielder. When we drop in there, we need to make sure that we have a good awareness of what's around us at that time. We want to play a certain way, and unfortunately, we just dwelled on the ball a little bit. The Hibs midfielders nicked it, and obviously, I think it was Bowie, was it, that puts the ball in the back of the net. So, yeah, really disappointing in the first two goals that we conceded. But overall, I thought the performance was outstanding. And the fact that I'm sitting here, it's very rare in the time as a manager at any of the clubs I've been at that I've ever sat in the press room saying I felt we dropped 2 points, and that's the way I feel right now. More often than not, you come to Easter Road, you expect a difficult game, and I think most people would maybe take a point before the game, but we really feel that we've done enough on the day to win the game, and the goals that we scored, were all really excellent goals from our perspective, and we could have had a few more, to be honest.
You did touch on the penalty there, but you looked aggrieved by the decision after we've been at the monitor.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's personally, I don't think it's a penalty, and I'm sure David Gray will have a different opinion on it. I did have a slight concern coming into the game when I watched the VAR review, and I heard what the head of referees was saying about the St Mirren game when the penalty wasn't given. I think that's really different. I think the St Mirren defender has nearly caught the ball on that occasion, whereas Vicko Sevelj, I don't know what else he can do. He's holding off a Hibs player, and then the ball strikes off his arm from a really close distance. I'm just not sure what he's meant to do in that situation, and I think it was really, really harsh. These decisions are very subjective, I think, but certainly with the opinion of what was given on the previous game here against St Mirren, I think subconsciously as a referee that must be in the back of your mind. And look, it's a sore way to drop points, without a doubt. If Hibs had carved us open and scored a really well worked goal, then you can accept that. But that one there is difficult, and especially the fact that Vicko's been red carded as well. Such an influential player for us is going to miss a really important game in a couple of weeks' time. Well, we'll have a look at it, but I think by the letter of the law, I mean, I thought if it was a deliberate handball, then that might be different, but apparently he's denied a clear goal-scoring opportunity, and by the letter of the law, then I think that that does lead to the red card. But we'll have a look at it as a club, obviously, and we'll ask for the opinion of a few people and see what options are available to us.
David Gray, after that St Mirren game, wanted kind of clarity, I suppose, of the rules. Will you kind of seek something similar from your point of view?
Now, look, I mean, it's disappointing that this is the main talking point, and VAR, as I said, the decisions have always been subjective since it's been brought in, and it's really difficult for referees. It's really difficult for defenders now, in all of those situations. So I understand the challenges that the officials have got to try and come to the decisions that they have to make. But I do think, as I said, I do feel that the talk around the St Mirren one not being given, I thought today if there had been a 50-50 chance of a penalty today, I had a feeling it was going to go against us, and that's the way it did.
You've obviously scored 3 exceptional goals today. 2 of your front 3 have had plenty of praise this season, but Amar Fatah looked like a player who's the strongest performance so far in a United jersey.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, it was probably his most consistent in terms of on the ball and his work rate off the ball. He's still getting up to speed, Amar. He came in late to the group in terms of pre-season, I couldn't be any happier with the overall performance of the team. I know, as I said, the mistakes will be highlighted for the goals against, but as a performance, to come to such a really good opposition in Hibs, who have been, arguably, one of the top 2, top 3 teams in the country for the last 12 months. And to come and put on a performance like we did, score the types of goals that we did, I think shows you how much progress we've made as a group. There's so many, Kamara in the middle of the pitch again, I thought was outstanding. The front 3 absolutely were terrific. The goals that we scored, as you mentioned, were all really well worked goals. And obviously Lucas Stevenson's really unlucky at the end not to actually grab the match ball, but a good save from Smith. So we can look at the positives and really try and use that to motivate us. Of course, we'll look at the areas that we need to do better, and there are a few situations there where we could maybe manage the game a bit better.
Luca was bombing into the box all day long. I mean, is that something you've challenged from Luca to get in the box and try and get a decent goal?
Yeah, I mean, look, we encourage both wing backs when one wing back is crossing it. We want the other wing back getting in the back post area. We want to try and get as many bodies into the box to give ourselves the best chance of making first contact. And there's a terrific ball in from Will Ferry and a fantastic finish. Both goals, great finishes from Luca. And like I say, when I watched the game back, there's that much goalmouth action within it from both teams. I mean, Kucherenko's made some really good saves. People may not talk about the positive things that he'd done in the game, but because of the mistake, unfortunately, as a goalkeeper, that's the game that you're in. But we had numerous chances in that second half. I thought on a few occasions we could have got the shot off a little bit sooner, but Sapsford is unlucky with a little ball from Moller. Dolchek has 2 or 3, good chances, half chances. So yeah, look, overall, I think I'm pleased with the performance, but I think I'm really disappointed with the outcome.
Just finally from me on Kucherenko there, he was kind of last off the pitch. He looked a wee bit dejected. Have the boys needed to get around him a little bit just to pick his head up?
No, look, of course he'll be disappointed with the first goal. That's ultimately as a goalkeeper, that's the position that you play in the team, and when you make a mistake, unfortunately 9 times out of 10 it ends up in the back of your net. But I thought he showed a great character to put that behind him and make a good save not long after it. And as I said, the second goal, in my opinion, is not his fault. People may point the finger at him and say he should just clear his lines, but we've got a certain way that we want to play, and unfortunately we took too many touches on the edge of our own box and gave away possession of the ball, which led to the goal. But he's made 4 or 5 really good saves in the game, Kucherenko. He's a terrific goalkeeper. He's had a great start to his Dundee United career. Unfortunately today, a mistake has cost us, but we'll certainly not point fingers. I've said it previously, that's not the culture that we have within our dressing room. We don't point fingers of blame at anybody. We're all in it together, and every one of us in there, including myself, will make mistakes between now and the end of the season, but we'll support each other when that happens.